I have a sensible argument with an AC line,
Come on out with your hands up!
precision work, and some gentle testing.
And that's 300.
Welcome back to the 5th installment of Project Raleigh. This is the episode where we take this beast for its first drive on the Autobahn, but before we can do that, it needs to be road approved as we do few little remaining jobs before it's taken for tooth inspection. Time for the European license plate holder. In Germany you can actually get German plates in this size as well, but I don't like the look of them, so I want to replace this so I can fit proper European plate. This is just plastic and it comes off, and I actually bought a replacement one. Here it is. It is specific to the M5 and it is the same color. As you can see, silver gray. The problem is this one has some weird pink stuff going on in the corner, and I'm fine with different shade of gray because the whole car is different shade of gray, but pink, that's a bit too much. So I'm going to remove the old one and take it along with this one to the body shop, and they can paint match it, and then this one is going to be one shade of gray. Not sure what this pink thing is. I think it was already repainted at one point and they've done something. I would have tried to sand it, polish it, wouldn't come off. So painting it is. To take it off, it's rather easy. There's just double sticky tape around it so it pulls off. Take off the plates first. These are going onto the wall. Guess we just pull it off now. And that's all there is to it. Now I'm going to take them to the body shop and have this one painted. I'm back with unpainted license plate holder. Turns out there's a reason for this being pink. This corner here was damaged and then repaired. There's signs of it on the back. And the undamaged corner has a really nice sharp angle. And this one here, it's round. So when you put this on the car, this lines up perfectly. But here you have a small gap. Admittedly, it's not very noticeable, but it is to me, and I don't want to have that because it's annoying. So I asked the body shop if they can fix this, and they said negative, we can try, but it's not going to last. So my only option is, because I can't find another used one in this color, or any color for that matter, is to buy a brand new piece, which is 200 euros, plus paint, 100, 150, and that's a bit more than I want to spend right now, because inspection costs that much. So I'm just gonna slap this piece on and add a bit of pinkness to this 56 shades of gray mix. It's gonna look cool, no, but it doesn't matter, it'll be functional. So first we're gonna clean this up and then we're gonna change these lights here as well. So let's get cracking. And now we're going to remove the license plate lights because we are replacing those. Well, that's one way to remove it. There's one. Again, excellent removal technique. Pretty sure that's in the repair manual. These are the replacement lights that are going with. They're LEDs. And normally I hate these for the rear license plates, because all of the aftermarket ones, they shine so bright, and in the night your rear end is like a moon. Everything is just lit up and shiny, and I don't like that. I think it looks really ugly. That being said, this is not some cheap mumbo jumbo. This is original BMW part for the F10 series, model after this one, and they come with capacitors, so everything is plug and play and you're not gonna have any errors on the dash. With all of that in mind, I'm gonna install them and see what they look like in the night. And if they are very shiny and bright, then I'm gonna remove them and put back the old ones, which I conveniently broke when I was removing them, so that's perfect. Oh, that was close. That plugs in there. So before I push them in, I'm gonna verify that they're actually working. Yeah, that one is working. I can see the other one is working as well. Perfect. That's all it holds it. double-sided sticky tape. And this is what I'm talking about. See how it's round over here and there's a small gap? And then if you look at this corner, it's perfectly lined up and sharp. And this is why I didn't want to paint this bit, because there's no point. I want to have this done properly. So at one point I'm gonna buy a brand new one, painted, but for now, this is it. And now we're gonna replace this trim here that's falling apart and the door seal, because it's just torn in several places. This should pop up, I think, or slide out. Wow, it doesn't matter, it's broken anyway. Well, that was fun. Do I have clips with the new one? Voila, it does have new clips, perfect. Actually, let's first verify that the one that I got will fit. But I used one because they're stupid expensive new, and it'll work. So we can start the new one here, just so I know where it goes, and then take off the old one completely. And now the brand new one. Isn't that beautiful? And with that, we are ready for inspection. Tomorrow I have a friend coming over and he has red license plates, and with those we can drive to the tooth station. Hopefully everything goes well. I'm nervous and excited at the same time, but we'll see. We're at the tooth station and the car is parked outside, waiting for the inspector to come out and inspect it. Hopefully everything goes well, so toes crossed. Guten Tag. The inspection was yesterday. The car went through the inspection, and I had a friend, Fabian, help me out with that. He has red number plates, so essentially dealer license plates. So we put that on the car and we took it to the tooth inspection station where it was inspected. And I was not allowed to film there, so I didn't. But I'm holding here inspection papers. So what do you reckon? Did it pass or fail? It passed! Of course it passed! Vinny the Third is finally road legal! Yes! Yes, yes, yes! After a year of so much effort, money, time, everything, the car is finally road legal. So I have a paper here, well, papers, a bunch of them. It took about an hour and a half. Well, the inspection took 45 minutes, and then it took him 45 minutes to make the papers as well. But two Swedish German words besides Apfelstrudel. Ohne Mängel, which means without shortcomings. So the car went through the entire inspection. They looked complete mechanical condition of the car, all of the lights, that they're European, the safety features, the emissions as well, and it meets all of the German standards. And the car is road legal and allowed to be taken on the streets of Germany. So the next step is to go and get insurance. And after that, go to the registration office and apply for the license plates. Yesterday was the first time that I drove the car and I noticed a couple of things. Number one, the AC is not working. Another thing I noticed is the gearbox. It's very notchy, like a lot notchier than on E39 M5. Fluid needs to be changed. We'll do diff fluid as well. And then the car is ready for a shakedown test and a first drive on the Autobahn. So that's gonna be a drive where we're just gonna look at all of the things, see how the car feels, and so I can bond with the car, because right now I don't really trust it. Like my E39 M5, I trust that car so much. I can take it on a trip around Europe tomorrow and I know it's not gonna let me down. But this car, we're not there yet. I have to get comfortable with it, get used to it, and just get general good feel of comfortableness. Is that a word? Hopefully it is. Anyway, thank you so much for following along. This project has been an absolute blast. I mean, when I bought this car, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, I didn't know it's gonna ruin me financially, which it sort of did, but now it's gonna start paying me back by being a good boy and not breaking down, right? Yes. I mean, this series gathered over a million views now. Part 1 is nearing 2 million views. Part 2, which is incredibly long, over 1 hour, got over 1 million views as well. That's just incredible. Thank you so much for watching, for sharing and everything. It's been an amazing journey. This car, I'm not going to sell it, so please don't ask me again. I still get that question. I'm not going to sell this car. Anyway, that is it for now. Welcome to the new dojo. I'm still kind of moving about, but it is a lovely space in here, so might as well work in here, right? I took the car yesterday to the shop around the corner, and they have the machine to recharge the AC, and the guy spotted dye on one of the connections, and that's not good. That's something you normally use to diagnose a leak in the system. So he told me, better make sure it doesn't have any leaks first, and then we can recharge it. Because if we recharge it and it leaks out, it's just waste of money and Freon. And I have a scuba diving kit, UV light and glasses, so we're gonna go and looky-loo. I also have pressure gauges. The system doesn't have any pressure, we already checked. And I have a vacuum pump coming in today, so we can pull the vacuum on the system. And if it holds the vacuum, that's good, well, partially good. It means it doesn't have any immediate leaks. It is currently 30 degrees Celsius outside, so driving without AC, it's just not an option. Yesterday, I just moved it in the yard and it was just cooking hot inside. And I did get the plates, I did, which means we can officially take it for a drive, but let's first see what we can see, because the AC, it has to be fixed. It has to be fixed. This is the scuba diving kit, 13 euros on eBay, but it should get the job done. So that's the dye. You can see it's like a fluorescent light. That's what we were looking for. And sure enough, that's the dye. But it's also possible that whoever recharged the system used this stuff, because sometimes the people put this preventatively, because if you do end up having a leak in the future, you can easier diagnose it. So maybe it doesn't have a leak, but it probably does. Nothing is ever easy on this car. There's the compressor. So I would need to put the car on the lift and then look around the compressor. But so far I'm not seeing anything. I don't quite remember how to do this. Well, that's a brilliant design, BMW. Yeah, I'm gonna have to remove this plate to connect this one here. So this is my El Cheapo manifold gauge set. Got it on eBay a long time ago. Gets the job done. And now we're gonna check if there is any pressure in the system. The guy said it didn't have any. And if that's the case, that's really bad, because there could be loads of moisture in the system. And I'm gonna end up replacing the condenser with the dryer, because they're one thing on this car, before we recharge the AC. There is some pressure. Yeah, there is pressure in the system. There's no Freon though. So gotta make sure these are closed. So connect the low pressure side. All right, you watch the blue gauge while I open the valve. There, you can see there's pressure in the system. That's about 2 bars. Connect the high pressure side. 2 bars on both sides. All right, so I'm gonna go around and have a look-see. AC compressor, no signs of the dye underneath at all. So I went back and talked to the AC guy, and he told me 2 bar, that's nothing. He says it could be just from the heat that it's expanded or whatever, and that the system is still full of moisture. So I just received the vacuum pump, so we're gonna try and pull the vacuum in the system, see if it holds. If it does hold, then I'm gonna take it back to him and he can recharge the AC with the UV dye, and if it leaks out, then we can trace the leak that way. Because it could also be possible that it's leaking under pressure when the compressor kicks in. So I don't know, I'm not super duper technical on this, but it's an AC system. How hard can it be to troubleshoot? Famous last words. Directions, no need for that. We men, we know everything. This goes here. Then the yellow line. Perfect, and then this one connects to the pump. So as far as I remember, it should pull vacuum at around -30, whatever that vacuum unit is. We're gonna let it run for around 30 minutes, then shut it off, and then we're gonna wait around 30 minutes more. And then if it holds, we know there are no imminent leaks. See, the gauges are dropping. All right, this thing has been buzzing for around 30 minutes now, and I'm gonna shut it off. First the valves. This is how it sits right now, and it just needs to stay like that for another 30 minutes, maybe even longer, we'll see. 30 minutes later, the gauges didn't move, not even a tiny bit, so that's good. I'm gonna go and talk to the AC guy again, and hopefully we can recharge it now. Right, it's Sunday now, which means the traffic is not as heavy. That's always the rule in Germany. On Sunday, the trucks are not allowed to drive on the Autobahn, so it's less crowded than it is during the week. The car, it's registered and insured, and regardless if the AC is working or not, it's not. We're going to go for the first drive now. I have no more patience. I've been waiting on this for over a year now, so I'm not gonna let a little bit of heat stand in my way. I mean, it is actually quite hot, but it doesn't matter. I have ventilated seats. Maybe that helps. And even though I'm gonna be sweaty, you don't have smell-o-vision, so it doesn't really matter. So let me show you the plates that I have and let's go for that first drive. These are the license plates for Project Raleigh, FNM 560. I wanted to get M560, but it was taken. Then I wanted to get MM560, also taken. So I settled for this, NM, whatever. And a bit of a background behind these license plates, also on my E39 M5 where I have MM539. This is how these cars are registered in German registration system. For the model name, it doesn't say M5, it says M560. Also for the E39, it says M539. So that's how I named the channel as well. Bit of a homage to E39 M5, my favorite car. And there are no vanity plates in Germany. You cannot put whatever you want on them. It has to be this exact same format. The first letter, it's always the letter of the city, in this case Frankfurt. Then you have letters and numbers. These you can pick and it only costs 10 euros. And as long as it's not taken, you can put wherever you want. You can put one letter or two letters and I don't know how many numbers, but pretty much all of the common ones like V10 or just the M5, all of that is taken. So you have to be really creative to get something cool. In this case, whatever, it just works. So you just ignore that and it says M560. And these go on the back of the car. These are the plaque of the state that I'm in, Hessen. And this is when the tooth inspection expires. So that always goes on the back. This is so satisfying. Finally putting license plates on this car. A lot of you ask me if I sell these license plate frames, and I don't. I just had 5 of these custom made for my cars, but I will look into it. It's not that easy to find a company that can distribute these for me because yes, I can order a bunch of these, but I really don't have the time to ship all of them every day all over the world. So I need to find a company that can do all of that for me. And once I do, then I gotta let you know and I'm gonna have these for sale. And now the badge on the windshield. And with that, we are ready. Small setback, I can't find my GoPro mount. I think it's in the Auto M5 or at home. I don't know, but I gotta go home first and see if I can find that. And then we can hit the Autobahn. Back in the garage, as you can see, I found the GoPro mount. It was in Project Marseille. Good thing I didn't go home and waste an hour looking for it. Pigeons, they have better memory than I do. Anyway, time to hit the Autobahn for the very first time. And I know what some of you are thinking. Let's see the top speed run. No, that's not what we're going to do today. All I want to do now is get familiar with the car, be comfortable with it. I've never driven an E60 M5 before, so I don't really know what to expect. Also, a lot of mechanical work was done on the car, so I'm going to take it somewhat easily first few hundred kilometers just to make sure everything is in order.
And that's 300.
I want to replace engine oil, make sure there are no metal shavings in oil or anything else that doesn't belong there, and that the rod bearing job was done properly. I also want to replace gearbox oil, differential oil. The car needs wheel alignment. We've done some suspension work as well, so it's not tracking 100% perfect. And for a top speed run, the car needs to be tracking 100% perfect. And don't get me wrong, rod bearings, there is no break-in period. We didn't replace piston rings. There's nothing to set in, to bed in. Rod bearings, they're riding on a thin layer of oil, so they're not touching the crankshaft. And if everything was done properly, you can immediately, once the car is warm, rev it to 8,000 RPM, nothing is going to happen. So once I'm comfortable and I trust the car enough, then we're gonna go for the top speed run, probably in the next episode. And the top speed of this car is 330 kilometers per hour, and that's some serious speed. So the conditions need to be 100% perfect and the car needs to be 100% perfect. So stay tuned for that. But without further ado, let's just go now. Seat ventilation does not help as much as I thought it would. Still way too hot, 31 degrees outside Celsius. So far, a little bit that I've driven it throughout the city, the suspension feels very comfortable. You can daily drive this. So let's hope it doesn't blow up. See, it feels good over bumpy bits. Press the M mode. The turn signal will take me some time to get used to, but it's not that bad. Let's open it up. It's so stable and quiet as well. One thing that I absolutely hate in this car is the fact that it doesn't have oil dipstick. Something as crucial as oil level, and you have to deal with a stupid electric sensor, which is a lying bastard because the capacity of this engine is 9.3 liters, I think, and I've put 8.3, and it keeps telling me you're 2 liters below minimum. Right now it was somewhere around 0.5, like in the middle. I put 0.3, so it should be right on the max, but it's like as you drive it, it changes. So I guess sometimes you just have to drive it and then take the reading, but it's just really annoying that I can't check it myself. Oil temperature at 100. Cruising at 240. Feels stable. I'm so moist now. Probably the moistest M5 driver in the world currently. Wow. Can actually feel the bolster doing its thing when I turn. There goes the camera. I'm gonna pull over now to check the oil level, see what this stupid thing says, and also to hear the engine. Of course. Sounds pretty much the same. My God, that is a lovely sound. I don't understand the oil level thing. What was wrong with the dipstick? Of course. I have a problem. I cannot do a strong pull with the car because the camera is tipping over. The steering wheel is straight. It doesn't pull anywhere. There's no crazy sounds from the suspension. The engine feels good. I mean, overall, for the first drive, everything is going well. Knock on wood, which I have. I have to gently speed up, but it pulls. 6,000 RPM, 180, 210. This thing wants to go 240, taking it easy. It definitely doesn't have the torque that the E39 M5 has, but my God, this thing revs. 260. In a corner, 260, 270. Didn't I say I'm gonna take it easy? 270 in a slight corner. This thing is gonna eat up the kilometers on Autobahn beautifully. It is a very, very comfortable seat. I thought E38 Contour sport seats are the most comfortable seats the BMW made, but this is a whole different level. This is a couch. So comfortable. Yeah, the gear changes is so not nice. I've had enough, boys. I'm heading home. It's too hot to drive this car. Move, Golf. Will you move? We're home in one piece. The car didn't explode, the engine that is. That was a very successful first drive. We got it up to 270 kilometers per hour. And I said, I'm gonna take it easy. Guess I'll take that back. See you mañana. Back to the air conditioning. We know that the system is holding vacuum, so the next step is to refill the system. But the system has been empty for at least a year. That's how long I had the car. So it is a very, very smart thing in that case to replace the condenser with the dryer. This is a perfect opportunity, so we're gonna do that now. So the condenser lives here, and I think we can do it without removing the bumper, but let's find out. Now we need to remove this plastic. Next is to unbolt these two lines here, and for this, if you're doing this, you have to make sure that your system is empty, that there is no refrigerant in it. There's one line. Will you let go? It's like it's glued. Ah. Finally. No, still? Did I say finally too soon? Oh, ah. Come on out with your hands up. Oh. Now it's just a matter of sliding this puppy out. Hello. There's a bunch of crap down there, so we gotta vacuum that up. This is the old condenser with the dryer, which you can replace separately. Just remove this clip here and dryer comes out. It is the original unit from December 2006, and it's not looking very hot. I mean, I did check it with the UV light and I didn't find any leaks, but it is a good thing we're replacing this. And this is OEM Male Bear premium line. So it's the OEM one, made in France, or OE. Beautiful. New O-ring going in. Perfect. That will be it as far as the replacement of condenser and dryer goes. Now I'm going to connect the vacuum pump again, pull the vacuum and see if that's going to hold. All right, it's been whizzing away for around half an hour. Time to shut it off. Half an hour has gone by, and as you can see, the gauges did not move. Minus 30, and that's what we want to see. So now I'm going to head out to the shop around the corner. They can recharge the system, add the UV dye, and see if it's going to work and hold. Back from the shop, and wouldn't you know it, we have a fully functional AC. Everything went well. The machine said everything was good to go. It filled it up with 810 grams, which is the capacity of the system. And then when the compressor kicked in, the pressure dropped to 4 bar, which is perfect. And well, it's still working totally fine. And we'll see if this is going to last. If the AC stops working after a while, then I know I have a slow leak somewhere, and I'll be able to trace it with the UV dye that's also in the system now. If it stays working, then great, don't need to do anything else. But for now, this is fixed. Onto the oil change. And by the way, I have to change these climate controls because they're in Fahrenheit, and I have no idea what that means without pulling up my phone and then converting. Even though I lived in the US for a while, I could never get used to Fahrenheit, feet, inches. Just means nothing to me until I converted. Gotta remove this service hatch here. So I've actually replaced the oil, I think 2 or 3 times since I've done the rod bearings. And if you remember, we had the failed Vanos pump, so the engine was full with metal shavings. And after a 3rd or 2nd time, it was getting a lot better, but you could still see some small shavings here and there. So this car is gonna need a few more oil changes to flush all of that until I stop seeing metal shavings. So I'm expecting to see some now. If you see a huge amount, that's gonna be alarming. But if I see just a little bit, then I know that's residual stuff from the Vanos pump. Ooh, that's hot. There's still some small presence of metal shavings in the oil filter cap, but it's also partially good because it means that the oil filter is doing its job. The engine was full with metal shavings, and that's not gonna go away after just a couple of oil changes. It's gonna need several of them. And I talked to another guy who had the rod bearing failure, and with him, it was thousands of kilometers and like roughly 10 oil changes until he stopped seeing metal shavings in the oil filter. So I'm just gonna keep at it, change the oil very frequently, and cross my toes that nothing else is broken. Perfect, perfect. Now I'm gonna be chasing screws all day long. I mean, overall, that looks really clean. A very good sign is that there are no traces of metal shavings in the oil that came from the oil pan. I took a sample and it's absolutely squeaky clean. So that's good. It means that the oil filter is doing its job and filtering all of the old remaining stuff in the engine. And the second drain plug. Good. New filter going in, and I did pre-lube this oil filter. I put some oil into it. That is a very smart thing to do on this car. I'm gonna continue using 5W50. That's what I used since I did the rod bearings, and I also use the same thing on my E39 M5. I've been happy with it so far. It's a bit thinner than 10W60, and the engine seems to like it. So I just measured how much oil I drained from the engine and the oil filter housing, and it is exactly 9 liters. I've put 8.5 now. I'm gonna start it, go for a little drive, and then take the reading again and see what this stupid thing says. I just wanna break it. I hate that you don't have the oil dipstick. Put the freaking sensor in, but put the oil dipstick for normal people who want to pull the dipstick out and take the reading. Anyway, let's move on. Let's change transmission oil. Transmission fluid, always a fun topic, isn't it? The gearbox in this car, it is the same as an E90 335i or the V8 version of the E60 545i or 550 if I'm not mistaken, but I think I'm not because I checked yesterday. And from the factory, they use MTF LT2 fluid, so same as E39 M5. And if you remember, I made a video on that car recently and I changed the gearbox fluid. And over the years, I tried a bunch of different stuff, and I would always end up with difficult shifting into the second gear when it's colder outside and the car is cold. Last thing I tried was MTF LT3, which is a bit thinner than LT2 with liquid moly gearbox additive, and that's been the best that I've tried so far. But still, after 1,000 kilometers, if it's colder outside, it's difficult to shift into the second gear. And this gearbox in particular on E60 M5, the manual one, it's the worst one I tried so far. It is very notchy and just not smooth shifting, a lot worse than it is on E46 or E39. Even when it's warm, it's not a very good feeling shifting that gearbox. So one subscriber recommended that I try ATF, and I was very skeptical about that. Then I did a bit more research, and it turns out it's actually quite a popular option to use ATF in these manual gearboxes, at least in the US. People run D4 Redline, D4 ATF, and if you ask Redline, they're gonna tell you put that in your manual transmission. There's also one expert in Germany who's recommending ATF for manual gearboxes in BMWs for resolving this difficult shifting. And the guy that recommended ATF, he's put 30,000 kilometers, I don't even remember, on his gearbox with ATF. And he says it's buttery smooth shifting from cold when it's warm, always, and no side effects. And I ended up comparing Top Tech 1100 ATF with MTF LT2. And they're actually really close in spec. Viscosity is around 180, and also at different temperatures, the viscosity is pretty much the same. So it should be safe to use in manual transmission. Also, E31 850i Project Marseille, for example, that uses ATF from the factory. Since it was new, BMW put ATF in that gearbox, so there's that as well. Let's put this cocktail in and see how it behaves. As always, first remove the fill plug, this one here. Whoop. Bit overfilled, huh? At best, it should drip out. Oh my God, it stinks. So get ready for a big splash. My oh my, that one is long. I don't want it to splash, just gently. It stinks, really disgusting. It's piffy. Whoop. That bit. So let it drip out. Snappity snap, that's black. For the diff fluid, we were using LSD fluid, 75W140. That's full. And we're done with bodily fluid exchange. I think it's important that we do some more scientific testing. I've bolted a camera to a metal pole, which I then bolted to the passenger seat headrest, which is then bolted to a car. So it should stay in place and not tip over, but let's find out by doing some pulls. M mode engaged. Oh my God. The sound and the way it pulls. I'm already doing 270. So stable. Sixth. And that's 300. And if you remember, with the E39 M5, I couldn't get past 280 here. There was not enough space. This thing is just ridiculous with power. What a machine. Brakes are so good. Look, it grabs so much better than E39 M5. I think this thing will do 330 without any issues. We're gonna save that for the next episode because I need a longer stretch of the road and less traffic. And also wheel alignment. Still haven't done that. there's something that I should nitpick, it's the sunroof. I've said it a million times, I don't like them. And one really big reason why I don't like them is the noise. No matter how well it's sealed, no matter which car I drove, BMW, whatever, there's always some noise coming out of the sunroof. And you can really hear it on the Autobahn when you're driving above 150, 160 kilometers per hour. So for example, on my slick top E39, there isn't that much wind noise. And on this car, if you do this, it's pretty ridiculous. Not to mention the weight savings, more headroom, cleaner look. With ATF, the gearbox is molto bene. Shifting, that is super smooth, much better than before. I absolutely love this car. A lot of people judge the E60 by its looks, but what a machine it is. The technology, the handling, the power, the comfort inside, it's insane. And the looks, I love it. I actually think it aged pretty well. And it is a handsome car. You just give it a little bit of throttle and you can hear the intake noise, the exhaust sound. Amazing, amazing. Oh look, it's Clarkson. What a good guy. He pulled over so traffic can go by. Some chirping sound has developed from inside the dashboard. No idea what it is. It just came to light, but we'll ignore it for now. Ah, okay, it's the blower motor. Bastard. Hands down, the greatest car I ever driven. What's wrong with that picture? The thing on the side, fins, whatever they are, it flew off. I remember it being sort of loose. Well, now it's sort of gone. Good job. Lucky I remembered to tighten that up. Sure did. I hope you're properly drunk on that glorious V10 sound. As always, thank you very much for watching, and please consider subscribing if you enjoyed the video. Also, long live German Autobahn.
do 60 in a corner. How about that? And still accelerating. Woo! 300 like it's nothing.